On this edition of the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast, we have one of the greatest Hall of Famers of all time.
This is Jake the Snake Roberts, and you're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
You better believe it, brother. And don't forget, folks, the River City Wrestling Con, June 10th and 11th. That's at the Jacksonville Fairgrounds. If you head over to rivercitywrestlingcon.com, use the promo code Top Shelf. Okay, that's all one word, Top Shelf. You're going to save 10% on your weekend passes. So that way you get a chance to see Jake the Snake Roberts, Ken Shamrock, Thunder Rosa, Ron Simmons, Bryan Danielson, literally the who's who in pro wrestling from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That's right, rivercitywrestlingcon.com. Use the promo code Top Shelf. And now, let's get on with my conversation with Jake the Snake Roberts.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks!
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
Your host,
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
the Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Jake the Snake Roberts, you've had a heck of a career over 30, 40 years now, and yet it seems like you're having more fun today than ever before. So, first of all, welcome to Duke Loves Rasslin, and how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Getting ready to go to Vegas.
All right, now, Las Vegas, Nevada is one of my favorite cities on the entire planet. What's going on in Las Vegas for Mr. Jake the Snake Roberts?
Oh, man, my lovely ex-wife, who we've reconnected, she's taking me out there for a birthday week. So we're going to go see Michael Jackson's Cirque du Soleil act. We're all going to see the Grand Canyon. And we're going to see Santana.
Well, that's a heck of an itinerary there, and my goodness, Carlos Santana, still going strong, huh?
75 years old and still stroking it.
Listen, man, let's hope we all can say the same thing at 75 years old, okay? But it doesn't surprise me you're a Santana guy, because I know that rock and roll is definitely in the veins there. But I read years ago that you're an R&B fan as well, right?
A little R&B, more Pink Floyd than anything else.
You know, that is amazing, because when you talk about Pink Floyd, this is cerebral, this is poetic, this is something that really is an emotional journey when you listen to Pink Floyd's music. And now that I think about it, that's exactly how we can describe a Jake the Snake Roberts promo and really the mystique behind Jake the Snake Roberts, right?
Just from what they say, Comfortably Numb is a song they do. And I can do promos off of that all day long.
You know, it's really fun to hear you say that, Jake, because a lot of the top promos in the history of pro wrestling, you know, folks who could really get it done just like yourself, the gold standard, you all say the same thing in that regard, where music is a big inspiration for some of the stuff that you say. And for you up and coming wrestlers listening right now, keep that in mind. You know, keep the music playing, seek out different types of music, because your next promo could be inspired from what you hear in some of these songs, including Jake the Snake Roberts' favorite, Pink Floyd.
Just works for me, man. A little bit of Rolling Stones. I steal from everybody, man.
And by doing that, by getting your inspiration from different sources and finding new ways to incorporate it into what you're talking about, it allows your message to be more relatable to a larger audience. So here we go, folks. We're getting some of the true secrets from one of the greatest of all time, Jake the Snake Roberts. This is cool. You know, Jake, I'm an 80s baby. You know, grew up here in Boston, Massachusetts, especially in the early 80s, at a time when you had the gang culture, the crack epidemic, all sorts of crazy things going on. And it was interesting because I'm the son of two police officers. And pro wrestling was something that at a very early age I latched onto. I was very interested in. That was definitely something that could motivate me to keep my nose clean, so to speak. So that's what my parents used. If you want to watch the wrestling, you got to get your homework done on time. If you want to watch the wrestling, then you got to get your chores done, whatever. So I was able to watch people like yourself tell these stories and really get immersed and so interested in what's going to happen next and all the different nuance and changes and what have you through the years. And it's, with you in particular, you were a quote unquote bad guy. You a lot of your career, you were this sinister person that everyone was supposed to hate. And yet it was very difficult for me, and I would say for most fans, to hate you. We loved you. We wanted to see you. Even if you were doing something bad, we still were interested to see what was going to happen next with Jake the Snake Roberts. Explain that to me. I mean, how does that work where you're obviously a bad guy, but yet people still need to see you, want to see you, will pay good money, will spend a lot of time being interested in what you have going on?
Well, what it is when somebody goes out and performs at a high level and they never break their word. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And for some reason, people don't want to be on the losing side, do they? And I make you believe that I'm going to win every damn time. And you're afraid to vote against me or pull against me. And that's the way it works.
And it certainly has worked. I mean, you're still going strong, man. People still are very interested in what Jake the Snake Roberts has going on. Just even telling people that you're going to be on this episode, the excitement around it was like, wow, yeah, exactly. This is the Hall of Famer right here. Jake, one of the things that I really respect about you, and I'm a super fan, so I'm somebody who through the years has consumed a lot of not just watching pro wrestling matches and pay-per-views and all that good stuff, but reading the magazines, nowadays reading the websites, listening to podcasts, listening to radio interviews. I've consumed a lot of the extra stuff that help grow the industry as well. So I've heard most of, and I can say this comfortably, I've heard most of Jake the Snake Roberts' interviews. And a major thing that stuck out for me is the fact that you have never shied away from calling out racism, especially within the wrestling industry. And that's not something that your peers, especially of your generation, traditionally, that's not something that they've been comfortable with doing. It has changed in recent years where people are being a little bit more vocal. But from where I stand and from what I remember, from what I've researched, Jake the Snake Roberts was really one of the first to consistently speak up. And it wasn't a gimmick. It's not like you were looking for a pat on the back for doing so. You're just being matter of fact. That's wrong. This is what happened. These are some of the people responsible for it. It should have never happened. And then you move on. I've always respected that about you, man. Where does that come from? The courage to advocate for others, to speak up for others, even when, quite frankly, it didn't necessarily benefit you at the time?
I think it comes from my childhood, the rough stuff that I went through. I learned real early that it meant a lot to be able to speak your words and say it and stand on it. When you face fear in the face and you have to live with that, you learn to get confident enough to speak your words, because it might be your last.
Well, that's a hell of a way to look at it right there.
This world can take everything away from you. It can take your money, it can take your family, it can take your life. But there's one thing the world can't take from you, and that's your word. You have to give that up, and I won't give it up.
And thank goodness you won't give that up, because I'm going to tell you something right now, Jake. Again, seen all the interviews, read all the interviews, really have studied your career my entire life, just like most of the people listening. People all over the world can say the same thing. One of the biggest compliments that I can pay you, and this is something that I've talked to people about for years and years, Jake the Snake Roberts has never been shy about articulating the challenges that he's faced in life. You have always opened up and given detail and let it out. And I'm going to tell you something, man. you have made it okay for those of us who have watched you. You've made it okay for us to open up about our challenges. And you've made it okay for us to not feel weird about speaking up and saying, hey, this happened to me. Because if a badass like Jake the Snake Roberts can articulate what's happened throughout his life, not just the good times, but the low times.
Right.
And yet he's still standing to this day. And in fact, I would say that your best years are still ahead of you, Jake, because legitimately, you're looking good and you're doing so many positive things out there. It's amazing to see you, especially knowing where you come from, because you've told us. I'm going to make a statement, Jake. I believe that you've saved lives through being a badass who's not afraid to speak up and talk about what's going on internally, what has happened throughout life, and what have you.
Well, I certainly hope so. And, the reason I opened up is I wanted other people to realize, to be able to speak out and talk about their problems. Because it's, I went through so much as a kid, man, that it really handcuffed me growing up. And I was afraid to do this or do that. I was ashamed of where I'd come from. And living with that is pure hell. Pure hell. And the only way you overcome it is by talking about it. If you get it out there, pull it out of the closet, throw it out there in the light, make everybody see it, then it takes the power away from it.
Oh, and see, that's what makes it so cool, because in addition to doing your own podcast, The Snake Pit, you also are doing a comedy tour around the nation, right?
It's called the Last Call Tour. We just went through Pittsburgh and Hartford, Connecticut, Boston. We went to Kowloon's in Boston. It was a great time. Sold out, just really having fun. All I do is go out and talk about road stories, the crazy things that happen on the road or in the locker room. And it's a lot of fun, man. We're getting ready to go through Ohio. I think we're going to Cleveland, Columbus. So I'm also doing Days of the Dead. I believe in Indianapolis coming up too. So,
yeah, folks, definitely keep an eye on Jake the Snake Roberts' Twitter account at JakeSnakeDDT, and also keep an ear out for his podcast, okay? Because Jake has really been tearing it up in the podcasting game as well. It's called The Snake Pit with Jake the Snake Roberts there, and it's at Snake Pit Pod. You'll get more information about Jake's upcoming tour dates and what have you, so you can definitely see him live and listen to his great stories there. It's cool. It's cool that you're doing some podcasting there, Jake.
It's a lot of fun, man. We hit everything that we can and everything that I want to. It's my podcast, so I'm the only one on there. I know a lot of podcasts, they have guests and stuff, but I just feel like I'm just going to give everything of me. And we're having fun with it. It's called The Snake Pit, so check it out.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Snake Pit is part of the whole ad-free shows, Conrad Thompson universe, so to speak, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Shout out to Conrad, great friend of the show there. As I said before, Jake, when I told folks you were going to be a guest on Duke Loves Rasslin, people were very, very excited. And some of our loyal listeners and friends of the show, they have sent in some questions. So I'm going to fire off some of these for you here. And certainly thank you to everyone, including indie wrestler Noah Vale, Katina Rice, O.B. Tynes, another indie wrestler, the pastor of wrestling, Kevin West, Beatrice Patterson, thank you, B. Everybody who sent in a question here. Jennifer Mason, of course. So let me start at the top.
All right.
Jake, you're somebody who is not afraid to allow the business to evolve and to change, and you seem to be up with the times here. I mean, I know one of the things that a lot of people were surprised about is the fact that you stated pound for pound, Kenny Omega is the best wrestler right now, right?
If I put it in my mouth and I roll it around, chew on it a little bit, and it comes out tasting good, I'm going to talk about it. And Kenny Omega, I will talk about, because the guy is pound for pound one of the best performers I've seen. Bryan Danielson right there with him.
When it comes to a wrestling match, whether it be some mat-based Iron Man match or a flippy-dippy peanut butter skippy spectacular, what are some of the basic elements that a wrestling match needs in order to be Jake the Snake Roberts approved?
Well, there's going to be a baby face and a heel in it. That's got to come out some way, somehow. And that's one of the few things that's done today. They just seem to go out there and do everything. But I want to see them take the time to make some part of a story. If it's got a story in it and there's some good selling in it, because you got to have selling if you're going to have a good match. That's the way you create the baby face and the heel. And if it's got those things, I'll watch it.
I agree. You know, pro wrestling is at its best when we have clearly defined heels and clearly defined baby faces. We got a lot of questions about the Legion of Doom. So, I know we're going way, way, way back here, but talk to us about the Legion of Doom.
I created that back in the day when we were in Atlanta, Georgia. I was the booker. I was writing all the storylines. And so Hawk the Road Warrior used to do all these voice imitations. And there was a kids show back then. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. Oh my gosh. They had a bunch of baby faces. They had Superman, they had Aquaman, they had the Black Flash.
Is that Justice League, I think, something like that?
Oh, I think so. But the guy that did the voice was off the Mary Tyler Moore show, and Hawk could do his voice perfectly. And he'd just start rattling it off. The Legion of Doom. We'll face Aquaman tonight in a tag match. And just go off with it when we're driving down the road. And I thought, what the hell? Let's start using that on TV. So we came up with our group, which was myself, the Road Warriors, and the Spoiler. That was our group. And we had a little fun. Certainly established the Road Warriors as a force. Because at the time, they were getting beat every night, if you can believe that.
When you think about what they eventually became, the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, Hall of Famers, considered one of the greatest tag teams of all time, certainly one of the most dominant tag teams of all time. Yeah, it can be hard to believe that they started off as enhancement talents, folks who were putting other people over. But then I got to consider the fact that Jake the Snake Roberts started off as a referee and an enhancement talent before he set on his path to eventually becoming a Hall of Famer, right?
Absolutely.
We had numerous people asking about your feud with Macho Man Randy Savage and how you had the snake, bite him. And on TV was the big red X. In fact, you were recently on Vlad TV and you were talking to DJ Vlad about that very angle and specifically, having the Cobra bite Randy Savage there. If we were to take the Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts, the Cobra, and we put them on TV today, right? Say it's the same everything. And we do that exact angle where you have a Cobra bite the Macho Man Randy Savage in the arm on international TV. Do you think in 2023 something like that would get over?
It would get over, but we'd probably be kicked off TV. There's just different rules today, man. It's for the better, the rules they have, but man, sometimes they take too much, And this is wrestling. This isn't the real world, and that's where the people get confused. We're out there performing. We're out there to get a storyline across, and sometimes we may do something that's considered to be a bit much, but a bit much is what creates the bad guy. Of course it's a bit much. He's a bad guy. So you got to let him step out of line so we can create.
So you're saying because it's a performance, pro wrestlers should be allowed to get away with more, do more without the repercussions and what have you.
Right, absolutely. I mean, they don't get pissed off whenever they're doing Broadway and somebody's a bad guy and pulls a gun or something and shoots somebody. They're not really dead. We know that, And it's the same thing with wrestling. Everybody calls it fake, yet want to establish these rules and say you can't do this and do that. But it's a performance, for Christ's sake.
No, Jake, certainly your career has had another act with what you've done in All Elite Wrestling. And it's really interesting because for a number of years, people did not feel that we were ever going to see a competitor to WWE or another promotion that could rise to those levels where legitimately the wrestlers have another place where they can make top dollar other than WWE. Do you personally feel the competition is healthy for the business? Because listen, there are some people who don't feel that way. They feel that, there should just be one standard. I mean, look at other sports leagues. There's only one NBA, there's only one NFL, there's only one NHL. And for a lot of people, that's okay. Then you have others who feel that competition is healthy for all and we need competition. What say Jake the Snake Roberts?
If you went into a restaurant and they handed you a menu and it only had one thing on it, what would you think?
Well, I probably wouldn't go to that restaurant too often.
Exactly. So why not have 30 different choices? Well, it's the same thing with wrestling. Competition is good for this business. It's good because you don't have one guy that has his hand on everybody, everything, and you can't. As an athlete, you don't have a choice. You've got to bend and get on your knees and beg to have that spot. At least this way, if you're not happy with the company and what they're doing for you, you can go on to somebody else that might give you a break. And that's a great thing for the athletes.
I mean, you've shown that throughout your career, the ability to be able to go to a different territory and continue your career, continue to put food on the table, what have you. I mean, even when you went to WCW, thank goodness for that option, right?
Absolutely. You got to have choices out there, man, or it gets unhealthy.
Speaking of healthy choices, you're going to be at the River City Wrestling Con. And folks, get your tickets at rivercitywrestlingcon.com. And if you use the promo code Top Shelf, that's all one word, you're going to save 10%. Okay, you're going to get 10% off the weekend passes. So definitely do that so you get a chance to meet Jake in person, take photos with him, bring the whole family so you get photos with this legend here. Jake, how does that feel, man? How does it feel to know that people will come from all over the world just to shake your hand, just to meet you, just to get an autograph, just to share a laugh with you, especially at a nice family-friendly convention like the River City Wrestling Con?
It's such a boost for me, man. I mean, for so long, I was so unhappy because I was struggling with issues outside of the business in my life. And now that I'm unleashed from carrying all that garbage around with me, I'm getting to feel the love. I'm getting to feel the admiration that the people have for me. And that's a great feeling, man. Oh, my God. It's such a great feeling. I love hearing their stories of the first time they watch me wrestle or an event where there might be the Savage thing or it might be the Earthquake thing or even the Martel thing when he blinded me. And people remember these things, and I get to remember them too. And that just lets me take a free ride into my past, man, and it's wonderful.
And I'll tell you what else is wonderful. The fact that I get to have this conversation with a man who I used to get up early just to watch you on Saturday and Sunday mornings on TV. For I think it was like my 8th or 9th birthday, my mom got me the old WWF ring. And my first action figure was Ron Simmons. He was part of Doom at the time. My second action figure was a Jake the Snake Roberts, complete with a snake. You actually had a snake with you too, which was wild. And ironically, the third action figure was Mean Gene Okerlund. So I guess mom figured somebody had to call the action. But it's so cool and it's so refreshing to be able to follow you through the years, the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, and to see you today and how positive and healthy and really with it that you are, Jake. I mean, the fact that you're back on the road doing your tours and sharing stories, appearing at conventions like the River City Wrestling Con. This is all positive stuff, man. This is all really positive stuff, and I love it.
Damn right, man. Enjoying life to the fullest, man. Absolutely.
Jake, a special shout out to your family, including your daughter, Brandy, who handles a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff for Jake, folks. Jake, your daughter, Brandy's fantastic.
Well, thank you. She works very hard at it. I'm so proud of her, the things that she does. We live together, and her and her boyfriend live with me, and we have a wonderful time. And her working for me is such a blessing, because without her, I wouldn't do half the things that I do.
And it's beautiful to hear that because, we've seen the journey. We've seen the journey even with your family here. So to know that you are this close and continuing to move forward together as a family is just beautiful. And it's a reminder to anybody listening, folks, even if you lose your way and you find yourself separated from family, you can always get back. Okay. If you're willing to put in the effort, you can always get back.
Damn sure can. Never, ever give up.
Once again, brothers and sisters, you got to check out Jake on social media. Okay. He has the at Jake Snake DDT on Twitter. And he also has at Snake Pit Pod. That's the Twitter account for his podcast, The Snake Pit with Jake Roberts. Definitely you want to check out Jake the Snake Roberts' official shop, which is at jakethesnakeshop.bigcartel.com. And of course, he has his comedy tour. Keep an eye out for that. And definitely check him out at the River City Wrestling Con. You do not want to miss that. It's only a couple of weeks away. So please check him out. Jake, it's been an absolute pleasure on behalf of all of your fans from around the world. Thank you for all that you've contributed to the wrestling industry. Thank you for all of the lessons that you've helped us learn as fans of yours. And even most importantly, thank you for all of the great things that you will continue to contribute to the world going forward.
I really appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure to be on your show. Maybe we can do it again.
Let's talk hydration. See, I carry something to drink with me every single place that I go because I am concerned about being dehydrated. It runs in the family. Everything from dry mouth, dizzy spells, fainting. It's pretty serious. And I've tried all the different types of waters and sports drinks. Let me tell you something right now. Liquid IV. That has been the most efficient at keeping me hydrated and doing so pretty quickly. Okay, Liquid IV has 5 essential vitamins and is 2 times faster at keeping you hydrated than water alone. And I'm serious, man. Everything from vitamin C to vitamins B3, B5, B6, B12. Liquid IV also is non-GMO, so it's free from gluten, dairy, soy. So for all you folks out there with food allergies, this may be right up your alley. And I know what you're thinking, but how does it taste, Duke? Well, it tastes pretty good. Okay, we're talking my favorite in pina colada. They also have tropical punch, strawberry, new flavors like sea berry and strawberry lemonade. You can enjoy this stuff, man. But don't take my word for it. I want you to stop what you're doing right now and head over to liquidiv.com. Use the promo code Duke Loves Rasslin so you get 20% off your entire order. I mean, anything that you order on liquidiv.com. So what are you waiting for? It's time for you to shop better hydration today. Use the promo code Duke Loves Rasslin over at liquidiv.com. Save yourself 20%. Stay hydrated. Most importantly, enjoy life. That's right. My brothers, my sisters, this is Duke Loves Rasslin, and I want you to stop what you're doing and head over to rivercitywrestlingcon.com. Use the promo code Top Shelf. That's all one word there, Top Shelf. Why? I just saved you 10% on weekend passes to see some of your favorite stars from yesterday, today, and tomorrow, including...
Hey, what's everybody doing? This is Ken Shamrock. Just wanted to give everybody a heads up. I will be at the River City WrestleCon in Jacksonville, Florida on June 11th. So if you get a chance, man, come on and check it out. See you there.
Head over to rivercitywrestlingcon.com. Use the promo code TOPSHELF, and we'll see you Saturday, June 10th and Sunday, June 11th. That's right. Until next time, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Bianca Belair is a heel. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.